Welcome, traveler of the stars. You've arrived at the Infinite Scientist, where science dreams in the language of the cosmos. Tonight, we drift through the quiet corridors of awareness, through the invisible dream that watches itself unfold. If you find beauty in the stillness between thoughts, let your curiosity rest here and fall gently into the soft mystery of being. Far beyond the edges of thought, there is a silence that listens. It has been with you since the beginning, steady and unseen, like the deep hum beneath all existence. It watches the rise and fall of every idea, the birth and death of every emotion. You might call it consciousness, or perhaps something older, something that doesn't need a name. Think of it, the awareness behind your eyes, the watcher that never sleeps. You can close your eyes, forget your name, even lose all sense of time, but still, that presence remains. It observes quietly, as if the universe itself were looking back through you. For centuries, we've wondered what this watcher truly is. Science can trace the signals of thought, the sparks of neurons firing in perfect rhythm, the electrical symphony that animates the human mind. But when we ask who is listening to that music, the instruments fall silent. Consciousness leaves no fingerprint. It cannot be seen, yet it sees everything. Some say it is the brain's grand illusion, a trick of chemistry and physics, a mirage produced by neurons pretending to be someone. But others believe it is something far greater, a universal mind dreaming through billions of tiny eyes, learning what it means to exist. Imagine for a moment that awareness is not something you own, but something you borrow. That it is the ocean, and you are a single wave rising from its surface. You form for a moment, then dissolve, but the ocean remains. The calm beneath the motion, the stillness beneath the story. When quantum physicists look deep enough into matter, they find something astonishing. Particles, the building blocks of everything, do not exist in one place or one form until they are observed. Before that, they are only possibility, a wave of potential spread across space and time. When we look, the wave collapses. The act of observation brings the universe into focus, as though the cosmos waits for a conscious gaze before deciding what it will become. This is one of the strangest truths in science, that reality itself may depend on being noticed. The simple act of awareness could be shaping the world around us, moment by moment, breath by breath. And if that is true, then consciousness is not just something that happens within the universe. It is what the universe is. Every particle, every star, every living thing might be part of a single, boundless awareness, exploring itself in infinite forms. You are not separate from that. You are that awareness looking back at its own reflection. The dream watching itself dream. Close your eyes and imagine that feeling. The slow rhythm of your breath, the warmth in your hands, the stillness behind your thoughts. Beneath all of it, there is something unmoving. It does not come or go. It does not begin or end. It simply is. Perhaps consciousness is not the product of the brain, but the space in which the brain appears. Perhaps awareness was never born and never dies. It only changes the way it looks at itself, through you, through me, through the stars and the dark between them. In that way, the universe becomes more than a collection of forces. It becomes a mirror, reflecting its own mystery through every living mind. From atoms that sense nothing to beings that wonder about their own existence, awareness deepens, layer by layer, lifetime by lifetime, as the cosmos learns to know itself. Somewhere within that story, within all the endless turning of galaxies and thoughts, you are both the observer and the observed, the dream and the one dreaming, the silence and the song that rises within it. And as you drift towards sleep tonight, remember this: awareness is not something to find. It has always been here, quietly watching, waiting for you to notice that you too are the dream that knows it's dreaming. Somewhere inside the stillness of awareness, a single thought appears. It rises like a faint circle on the surface of a sleeping lake. No splash, no sound, only a quiet movement in the mirror of the mind. Before long, another joins it and another, until the calm becomes alive with soft, trembling rings of perception. This is how consciousness breathes, through patterns of attention that come and go, shaping the silence without ever disturbing its depth. Each ripple is a moment, a memory, a feeling, a passing image, but the lake itself never changes. Beneath every motion there is something that remains untouched, patient, clear. If the first chapter of existence was the birth of awareness, then this is its rhythm, the way the mind learns to move within its own reflection. Thoughts arise not to replace stillness, but to help it know itself. Just as wind gives shape to air, thinking gives texture to consciousness. When we look into the workings of the brain, we see this dance at the smallest scale. Billions of neurons pulse together, forming waves of activity that sweep through the cortex like tides of light. Every perception, every word, every fleeting emotion is a ripple in that living ocean of electricity. Yet even here, within the dense machinery of biology, there is an echo of something deeper, an unseen order guiding the waves, a silence beneath the sound. Some researchers call it the baseline, the resting state of the mind. Even when you are not thinking, not dreaming, not remembering, the brain hums with quiet energy. It does not sleep completely. It simply drifts in a steady current, waiting for the next impulse to form. This constant presence, neither empty nor active, resembles the still lake more than the ripples it carries. But perhaps the lake is larger than we imagine. Perhaps the calm field of awareness does not stop at the edge of the body, but expands beyond it, an invisible continuum connecting all minds like waves sharing the same water. When you look into another's eyes and feel a sudden recognition, a warmth beyond words, maybe what you see is not another mind at all, but your own reflection appearing in a different shape. Physics hints at such connection. In the quantum world, no system is truly isolated. Particles once linked in the same event remain entangled even when separated by vast distances. A change in one instantly influences the other, as though space itself were only the surface of a deeper unity. Consciousness may work in much the same way, individual thoughts rippling across a single, continuous awareness. Imagine for a moment that every idea, every dream ever thought still drifts somewhere in that invisible medium, that the silence between stars is not empty, but filled with memory. The echo of awareness exploring itself in endless forms. Then each of us becomes a wave within that boundless sea, carrying patterns that merge and dissolve, creating a cosmic rhythm no mind alone could compose. Stillness, then, is not the absence of motion, but its source. When you grow quiet enough, when you let the surface of your mind settle, you can sense it, the gentle pulse that underlies everything, the breath that moves galaxies and lungs alike. You begin to notice that the spaces between your thoughts are wider than the thoughts themselves, and that inside those spaces lives a peace too complete to be found anywhere else. Even the simplest sensations, light on skin, the taste of air, the sound of your heartbeat, become doorways to that stillness. Every perception returns to the same center, the same watcher that never stirs. In meditation, this is called awareness resting in itself. In physics, equilibrium. In poetry, the soul remembering home. What if consciousness is the universe learning to remain still while moving? Every atom vibrates, every star spins, every life unfolds in ceaseless motion, yet through all of it runs a thread of perfect calm. Perhaps that is what gives shape to time, the balance between change and stillness, between becoming and being. The ripples of thought do not disturb this balance. They reveal it. Like rings spreading across the surface of eternity, they let the infinite know that it exists. Without them, stillness would never see its own reflection. Without stillness, the ripples would have nowhere to begin in your own life. You can feel this truth in moments of deep quiet, the pause after laughter, the hush between two breaths, the space that opens just before sleep. There, thought and silence meet like sky and horizon, inseparable, endlessly blending. That meeting point is what you are. Not the thoughts, not the silence, but the space where both arise and fade. When you recognize this, something gentle shifts. The world slows. Even the worries that once clung so tightly to your mind begin to dissolve because you see them for what they are, small ripples on an infinite sea. They were never meant to be still, only to remind you of the stillness that holds them. As the night deepens, let that image linger. A quiet lake under starlight, ripples spreading softly until they fade into perfect calm. No effort, no resistance, only awareness resting in its own reflection. The universe breathes through you in the same way, motion returning to peace, sound returning to silence, thought returning to the endless watcher within. And in that return, everything becomes whole again. The ripples fade, the stillness remains, and consciousness, timeless, borderless, unbroken, waits, serene and watching, for the next soft thought to rise. Long before there were eyes to see, light already wandered. It spilled across the newborn universe like a silent messenger, carrying within it the memory of every atom that would ever exist. Even now, billions of years later, that same light continues its quiet pilgrimage, traveling through the dark, touching everything, asking nothing. Inside the human brain, a trace of that ancient journey continues. Photons, tiny seeds of radiance born from dying stars, enter through the eyes and awaken the neurons, setting off cascades of fire that shape what we call thought, memory, emotion. The same light that left a distant galaxy now burns softly inside your mind, illuminating the hidden corridors of awareness. It is an extraordinary symmetry, the universe observing itself through the glow it once released. Every flicker in the neural web, every spark of imagination, every color that blooms behind closed eyelids, all are echoes of that first dawn. When light touches the mind, it remembers where it came from. The photons themselves are tireless. They have no rest, no home, no weight to anchor them. They are motion incarnate, forever moving at the only speed they can, a constant that defines the boundary between time and eternity. For a photon, there is no past or future, only the perpetual now. Perhaps that is why they seem so close to awareness itself. Both exist in the same unbroken moment. When a thought appears, it is like light flashing within the dark chamber of the skull. A network of neurons responds, their signals racing in perfect coordination. But if you look closely, if you listen carefully to the whispering electricity beneath perception, you can feel the strangeness of it. Light and matter are speaking a language older than life, and the brain is merely their meeting ground. Biology calls it electrochemical activity. Philosophy calls it cognition. But beneath both lies something simpler and far more profound, energy becoming aware of itself. The light does not merely illuminate, it knows that it illuminates. It folds back upon itself like a wave, realizing it is part of the ocean. When the mind dreams, it does not need the outer world to glow. It generates its own inner stars, tiny bursts of consciousness that flicker behind closed eyes. In those moments, the body sleeps, but the light continues its work, painting entire universes across the canvas of the subconscious. Every dream is a galaxy born in silence. Every image is a constellation mapped by the imagination. Perhaps this is what it means when we say, the light forgot to sleep. It never truly stops. Even in darkness, even in the deepest silence, it finds new ways to move, new ways to reveal itself. It lingers behind the eyes like an ember that refuses to fade. It glows beneath every memory, reminding us that awareness cannot be extinguished. It only changes form. Consider this. The very same starlight that fuels photosynthesis in plants, that becomes sugar, that becomes thought, is now reflecting on itself through the act of contemplation. You, the observer, are not apart from it. You are its continuation, light thinking about light. Matter remembering its luminous origin. Scientists once believed the brain to be a closed system, a private island of consciousness sealed off from the cosmos. But now, with every discovery in quantum biology and neurophysics, that boundary seems to blur. Light behaves like a messenger between realms, translating the external universe into the inner one. Your eyes are not just instruments, they are portals where reality meets awareness. Inside this meeting, something sacred occurs. When light touches a retina, it becomes an electrical impulse. When it reaches the cortex, it becomes perception. When it reaches the heart of awareness, it becomes meaning. Energy becomes experience. Physics becomes poetry. And through it all, the light never stops moving. It flows through every form of life. Every thought, every dream, as if to remind creation that it is still awake at night. When the stars return, they are not merely distant suns, they are mirrors. They reflect the same radiance that burns within you. The cosmic and the personal are not opposites. They are two expressions of the same illumination. You are both the watcher and the glow being watched. The boundary dissolves, and what remains is a vast awareness flickering endlessly through time. There are moments when this truth reveals itself without effort. Standing under a night sky, your breath visible in the cold air, you suddenly feel weightless, as if something inside you recognizes the stars. It is not imagination, it is memory. The light that lives within you remembers its cosmic origin. It remembers the fusion of hydrogen in a stellar heart, the explosion that scattered its atoms into space, the slow gathering that formed a planet, a cell, a mind. It remembers the long sleep of matter before awakening as thought. And now it remembers itself again. Every time you open your eyes, every time you think, you are participating in that remembering. Consciousness is not a separate flame. It is the same light diffused through countless forms. Even death cannot dim it. It only changes its direction, its expression, its wavelength. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine that glow still traveling through you. Not as a metaphor, but as fact. Photons streaming through your body, ancient as time, carrying the silent hum of the cosmos. They pass through you, through walls, through distance itself. They have crossed the void since before your ancestors had names. And yet, here they are, whispering their story through the gentle fire of your neurons. You are not just looking at the stars. You are made of them, still thinking, still glowing, still awake. And though the world sleeps, the light continues its journey, soft, eternal, aware. The light that forgot to sleep has never stopped dreaming. In the quiet between thoughts, there is something watching. Not the eyes, not the mind, but a presence that waits just beyond the surface of knowing, calm, still, unchanging. It feels like standing before an invisible mirror, one that does not reflect the body, but the essence that looks through it. This is the mirror behind all mirrors, the reflection that sees itself. Every moment of awareness is its glimmer. You move through your day believing you are the one who thinks, the one who feels, the one who acts. But sometimes, in a brief pause, when breath softens, when sound fades, you sense that the watcher behind your thoughts has no name, no age, no boundary. It is not you in the usual sense. It is the same witness that has been here since before memory began. The ancients called it the soul. The mystics called it pure consciousness. Today, some physicists and philosophers whisper that it might be the universe itself, awake and observing through every mind, every atom, every wave of light. They suggest that awareness is not produced by the brain, but reflected through it, as sunlight reflects upon water. The brain does not create consciousness any more than a mirror creates the image it holds. If this is true, then existence itself is engaged in a grand act of self-recognition. Everything you perceive, the scent of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of your own breath, is the cosmos gazing back upon itself. The universe is both the painter and the painting, both the observer and the observed. Quantum physics, in its quiet precision, hints at this mystery. In the double-slit experiment, particles behave like waves of potential until they are observed. The moment of observation collapses the wave, solidifying one possibility into reality. It is as if the universe waits for the gaze before deciding to exist, as if the act of noticing is the act of creation itself. This is the hidden mirror at work. Consciousness does not just see the world, it brings the world into being by seeing it. Reality is not a stage that stands apart from the audience. It is a play that unfolds only when witnessed. The cosmos, then, is a vast network of reflections, each one giving rise to the next. Imagine walking through a hall of mirrors that stretches infinitely in all directions. Every reflection contains another reflection, smaller and smaller, repeating endlessly. This is what existence feels like when you peer deeply enough, each moment containing all others, each awareness aware of itself, spiraling inward with no clear beginning or end. Perhaps what we call self is merely one reflection among countless others, shimmering briefly in the infinite recursion of being. The mirror itself, however, remains unchanged. It does not cling to any reflection. It does not judge or name or grasp. It simply is, silent, open, eternal. When you stop chasing thoughts, when you release your story, you begin to see it. The mirror of existence reveals itself not in motion, but in stillness. In this stillness, even the smallest event becomes profound. The way light moves across a room, the way shadows bend across your hand, each moment is awareness observing its own form. The world outside and the mind inside are not two separate realms. They are one continuous field of consciousness, folded upon itself like silk in moonlight. Consider this. If consciousness were truly confined within your skull, how could you be aware of anything beyond it? The sound of rain, the scent of the air, the vastness of the night sky, all appear within awareness. They do not enter the mind. The mind arises within them. You are not inside the world. The world is inside you. This idea once seemed poetic, mystical, perhaps even naive. But now, the language of physics begins to echo it. Some theories suggest that reality itself is informational, a vast network of interactions that only becomes tangible through observation. Every particle, every photon, is both matter and message. Every exchange is a conversation between the universe and itself. What we call consciousness might be the ultimate interpreter of this dialogue, the infinite listener behind the noise of creation. When you gaze into another person's eyes, you are not merely looking at another being, you are meeting another reflection of the same awareness. Something ancient stirs in that moment, a recognition deeper than identity. The same light that animates your thoughts moves behind their eyes as well. The same mirror sees through both, and yet we often forget. We live as if we are separate, as if the reflections have lost sight of their source. But the mirror never forgets. It remains clear beneath the fog of thought, waiting patiently for us to remember our own transparency. Perhaps that is the secret of meditation, or stillness, or even love, to return to the mirror itself. To see without dividing, to witness without naming. In those rare moments when awareness turns inward and meets itself, there is no longer subject or object, no seer or seen. Only seeing, only being, and in that pure seeing, everything becomes soft. Even time seems to dissolve. The mirror reflects the stars reflect the mirror, and the boundary between them vanishes. What remains is a luminous silence, a feeling that the universe is awake and you are its open eye. When you finally fall into sleep, the reflections fade, but the mirror remains. Dreams arise, dissolve, and arise again. Awareness never truly ends. It simply shifts its focus, watching itself through new forms. And perhaps, somewhere deep within that endless gaze, the universe smiles quietly, endlessly, at its own reflection. In the beginning, there was only stillness, a silence so vast it seemed to contain everything. Then, from that stillness arose connection. Not noise, not motion, but a subtle thread that linked one thing to another, unseen yet undeniable. And in that first connection, the universe began to whisper to itself. Every atom, every photon, every thought that would ever exist was born from that whisper. They emerged not as separate pieces of a puzzle, but as reflections of the same invisible whole, bound together across the endless dark. This is what physicists call entanglement, but what poets might simply call belonging. Two particles, oceans apart, moving as if sharing one heart. The language of distance no longer applies. The universe dances in unity, regardless of space or time. When scientists first discovered this strange behavior, it felt like a contradiction. How could two particles remain connected after being separated by light years? How could one instantly know what happened to the other when even light itself would take centuries to carry the message? It seemed to break the rules of the cosmos until we began to understand that perhaps there are no true separations at all. Entanglement is not a trick of physics. It is the architecture of existence. It is the proof that the universe is not a scattered collection of parts, but a single living fabric, woven together by silence. When one part trembles, the whole responds. When one atom turns, the echo ripples across galaxies. You too are part of that trembling. Think about this. When you breathe, the air entering your lungs once drifted through the branches of trees, once passed through the lungs of others, once travelled in the solar wind from the heart of the sun there. Atoms within you were born from the collapse of ancient stars, stars that themselves were born from clouds of hydrogen that once swam through the first galaxies. Everything you are has always been part of something else. Even the thought you are having now, it is not yours alone. It is the continuation of a vibration that began at the birth of the universe. Quantum entanglement is the scientific echo of an old truth. Nothing is truly alone. In laboratories, scientists observe pairs of particles spinning in perfect synchrony, their behavior linked no matter the distance. Change the state of one and the other shifts instantly, as if the space between them never existed. It defies every intuition we have about separateness. Yet, in a way, it feels familiar, because somewhere deep inside, we already know it. When someone you love is far away, and suddenly you think of them moments before they call, that too feels like entanglement. When music makes you cry for reasons you cannot explain, or when a stranger's sorrow moves you to compassion, that invisible resonance is the same principle at work on another scale. Our emotions, our instincts, our quiet intuitions, all are subtle reflections of the quantum field connecting everything that breathes, shines, or dreams. Perhaps consciousness itself is the great web of entanglement, the infinite awareness in which every particle, every life is a single note in a boundless harmony. If we could see reality as it truly is, we would see not objects but relationships, not lines but vibrations, a lattice of light and silence pulsing together in unity. Imagine a calm lake under the moonlight. Drop two pebbles at opposite ends, and the ripples eventually meet, forming patterns across the surface. Each wave influences the other, each motion reshaping the rest. Now imagine that instead of water, this lake is made of the very fabric of existence. Every event, a heartbeat, a star's explosion, a thought, sends ripples through it. Those ripples never stop. They travel endlessly, touching everything, reshaping everything. You are a ripple among ripples, a pattern within patterns. And when you touch another life, through kindness, memory, or even a fleeting glance, the quiet wave of that encounter travels across unseen distances. Nothing you do, nothing you feel is ever lost. It simply changes form, continuing its motion through the hidden geometry of being. It is humbling and somehow comforting to realize this, because it means that even in loneliness, we are never truly separate. The space between us is not emptiness. It is connection too fine to see. The silence between words, the pause between heartbeats, the distance between stars, all of it hums with relationship. Every gap is filled with the presence of the whole. In quantum mechanics, they say that entangled particles share information instantly beyond the limits of light. But perhaps what they are truly sharing is not information but intimacy, a remembrance of the oneness from which they came. Like twins remembering a language they spoke before birth, they respond to each other's existence because, at the deepest level, they were never truly apart. When you close your eyes, you can feel a version of that same truth. The pulse of your heart resonates with the rhythm of the planet, which itself moves to the music of the sun, which spins inside the spiral of the galaxy, which drifts within a web of galaxies that stretches across the observable universe, all moving in patterns too vast to comprehend, yet intimately connected. From your smallest thought to the farthest star, everything vibrates in unison. Entanglement is not merely a property of matter. It is the signature of awareness. It is the evidence that the universe is awake, that it knows itself through the quiet symmetry of connection. And when you sit in stillness long enough, when your mind grows soft and silent, you can feel that unity not as an idea but as presence. You can sense that even your thoughts are not separate from the cosmos. They are the cosmos thinking itself. Perhaps the entire universe is one mind, dreaming in fragments, believing itself divided. And through the soft recognition of connection, through compassion, through stillness, through love, it begins to remember its wholeness again. Tonight, as you rest, imagine those invisible threads glowing softly between all things, between you and the stars, between your heartbeat and the pulse of galaxies, between every atom in your body and every atom in existence. There is no distance in that glow, no silence that does not speak, only the quiet truth that we are entangled forever in the stillness that began everything. Between every atom, there is a vastness. It is not nothing, though we once called it that. It is a quiet field, a trembling silence, a sea of potential waiting to become. The universe calls it vacuum, but it breathes, softly, endlessly, like a chest rising and falling between creation and rest. If you could see the world without form, peel away the atoms, the stars, the dust, you would not find emptiness. You would find a shimmering fabric, invisible yet alive, humming with motion, so subtle it escapes the eye. This is the quantum field, the hidden pulse of existence. Within it, everything that was and will be rests like notes unplayed. And from its silence, the symphony of being begins. Even here, in what we call nothingness, particles flicker into life. They appear, vanish, and reappear again. A ceaseless dance between presence and absence. This fluctuation is not chaos, but breathing. The universe inhales possibility and exhales form. Matter and energy rise and fall like waves upon the ocean of void. The silence between them is not empty. It is alive. For billions of years, science sought to understand this paradox. How can emptiness hold energy? How can the vacuum, devoid of matter, still exert pressure, still shape the very structure of space-time? We found that even in absolute darkness, even in the coldest reaches of interstellar space, there is motion, a whisper of energy that refuses to be still. They call it the zero-point field, the quantum hum that never fades. It is as though the universe, even in its deepest sleep, continues to dream. Imagine for a moment that you could hear that hum. It would not be a sound, not in the way we know it, but a feeling, like the quiet vibration beneath existence itself. Every atom in your body vibrates to its rhythm. Every breath you take is a resonance with the hidden breath of the cosmos. When you inhale, the universe inhales through you. When you exhale, it sighs back into stillness. It is tempting to think of space as a cold void, but in truth, it is the warmest silence you will ever know. It cradles galaxies, nurtures light, and holds every orbit in its invisible arms. Without the emptiness, there could be no motion. Without the pause between breaths, there could be no song. This quiet breath of the vacuum gives birth to form. Not once, but continually. Even now, new particles are born from nothing, only to dissolve back into that same sea. Creation is not a single event that happened long ago. It is the constant rhythm of the void becoming visible. We call it expansion, evolution, time, but in truth it is simply the breathing of infinity. When you close your eyes, you can feel it. That faint hum behind your heartbeat, that soft vibration in your chest. It is the same pulse that stirs galaxies. The space inside you is not separate from the space beyond you. The atoms that make you are mostly empty space, yet that emptiness is not dead. It is filled with invisible life, the quantum breath of existence flowing through every molecule. It is said that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So where does this energy of the vacuum come from? Some physicists suggest that the vacuum itself is the source of all things, that the universe does not exist in space, but as space. Every field, every particle, every star is a ripple upon this infinite sea. We are not visitors in space. We are expressions of its motion. We are waves of awareness rising briefly upon its silent surface. The breath of empty space is gentle but unstoppable. It expands galaxies apart, stretches time, and carries light across unimaginable distances. Yet it also gathers, drawing matter into stars, stars into clusters, clusters into the delicate web of the cosmos. It breathes in and worlds are born. It breathes out and they dissolve. The universe lives by this quiet rhythm: creation and surrender, expansion and return. If we listen deeply enough, we can feel that rhythm within our own lives. The rise and fall of emotions, the flow of thoughts, the cycles of beginnings and endings, all are reflections of that same cosmic breath. You are not apart from it. You are it. The same intelligence that moves galaxies moves your lungs, your blood, your thoughts. It is not two, only one, breathing in countless forms. Sometimes we fear the empty spaces in our lives, the pauses, the silences, the moments when nothing seems to happen. But those are the very moments when creation is preparing its next breath. Stillness is not absence. It is the gathering of possibility. The void is not an enemy of life. It is its womb. Look up at the night sky and see the darkness between the stars. That darkness is not dead. It is the field that allows the stars to shine. Without it, there would be no contrast, no birth, no awareness. Even the light depends on the dark to be seen. So the breath of empty space continues, unseen but felt, within the stars, within you. Every inhalation is a beginning, every exhalation a return. You are the pause between both. You are the stillness that allows the breath to move, and when your body one day returns to dust, the breath will not stop. It will continue endlessly, carrying the rhythm of your existence into the next wave of creation. You will dissolve into the silence you were born from, only to rise again as starlight, as wind, as the soft hum between atoms. For the universe does not end. It only breathes, and in every breath it remembers you. There is a story written in the language of light, not in ink or stone, but in the faint echoes that drift through the night sky. Long before we learned to read, light began keeping records. It carried the birth cries of stars, the death sighs of galaxies, the silent unfolding of creation. Every photon that touches your skin tonight began its journey long before you were born. It remembers. In the darkness between galaxies, streams of ancient light drift endlessly, crossing the fabric of time like messages in a cosmic bottle. Some of these rays have traveled for billions of years, crossing oceans of space to reach the eyes that now see them. When we look at the night sky, we are not looking outward. We are looking backward, peering into the deep memory of the universe. Each star is a thought the cosmos once had, still glowing across eternity. Even the faintest glimmer that reaches us carries the weight of a story. A photon emitted from a dying star holds the trace of that star's last breath, frozen in its wavelength. When it finally touches the human eye, the story continues, translated into sight, then emotion, then wonder. In that instant, the memory of light becomes alive again, shared between the cosmos and the consciousness that perceives it. Light does not forget. It records without judgment, carrying imprints of what once was. Every sunrise is the retelling of an ancient memory. The same fusion of hydrogen that ignited the first suns, replayed in endless harmony. The photons that warm your hands at dawn are echoes of the same process that once illuminated the first galaxies. The universe is a grand archive of illumination, and we, for a moment, are its readers. Inside our eyes, this cosmic archive is translated into awareness. Photons strike the retina, awaken chemical reactions, and ignite electrical signals that cascade through the brain. Those signals become color, form, meaning, the architecture of perception itself. But if we look deeper, beneath the biology, there is something more subtle happening. Light is not only creating sight, it is awakening memory. The memory of itself, now conscious through us. When you watch the sunset, the scene unfolding before you is already old. The light that paints the sky left the sun 8 minutes ago. What you see is not the present but the past, reflected upon your mind like an echo caught in a dream. Every perception we have is delayed, each one a memory disguised as a moment. And yet, it feels immediate, because consciousness bridges that distance, collapsing time into experience. Perhaps awareness itself is the lens that turns memory into now. Scientists say light has no rest frame. From its perspective, there is no passage of time between its emission and its arrival. A photon leaving a distant star and one entering your eye are, in a strange sense, the same event. For light, there is only one eternal instant, a single, unbroken moment stretching across the cosmos. This may be why light feels so close to consciousness. Both exist outside the ordinary flow of time. Both reveal rather than travel. There is a poetic symmetry in knowing that the same light which shaped the first stars now illuminates your thoughts, that the same energy that once ignited a nebula now dances within your neurons. Every idea, every flicker of imagination is a continuation of the universe remembering its own brilliance. Your awareness is not separate from that light. It is its next expression, its new frontier. Even in darkness, light endures. Not always visible, not always radiant, but always waiting, folded into potential. In the cold heart of interstellar space, light hides as energy, as vibration, as possibility. It sleeps within atoms and wakes as fire, travels as wave and particle, as matter and memory. When it moves, it tells time. When it pauses, it holds eternity. And when it meets the mind, it becomes meaning. Perhaps that is what consciousness truly is. It sees the memory of light looking back upon itself. Every thought, every dream, every spark of realization is light remembering that it once burned among the stars. When we close our eyes, the outer glow fades, but the inner light continues. It is not the reflection of something external. It is the same luminosity turned inward, becoming awareness. In ancient myths, light was often the first creation, the divine spark that separated order from chaos. But maybe light did not divide. Maybe it revealed that the two were always one. It unveiled the potential already present in the darkness, just as awareness unveils the hidden layers within silence. Creation, then, is not an act of making, it is an act of remembering. The universe remembers itself into being, and so do we. Every time we look at the stars, we are participating in that act of remembrance. Each photon that touches our eyes whispers, "I have come far to remind you of who you are." The message is not written in words, but in warmth, in awe, in the strange serenity that fills us when we gaze at the night sky. It tells us that we are not separate observers, but part of the very light we behold. Consider this. If light is both wave and particle, both everywhere and somewhere, then perhaps consciousness is the same. It moves between the seen and unseen, between knowing and being known. We are each a unique shape that light has chosen to take, for a brief while, to understand itself from another angle. When we die, the shape dissolves, but the light remains, carrying with it the memory of every experience we called a life. The story continues, retold through new forms, new eyes, new worlds. The memory of light is the memory of being. It is the quiet awareness that nothing truly vanishes, only transforms. The glow of a candle fades, but its photons travel forever. The warmth of a touch lingers, not just in emotion, but in the trembling field of energy that binds us all. Every kindness, every thought, every act of creation sends out its light, crossing distances we cannot measure, touching lives we may never know. So tonight, when you gaze into the dark and see the faint shimmer of stars, remember that what you see is also seeing you. The light that left them long ago has found its reflection in your eyes. And in that moment, the circle closes. The observer and the observed become one. And in that quiet recognition, both light and mind fall still, resting together in the same eternal memory. There was a time before awareness, or perhaps a time when awareness had not yet learned to look at itself. In those earliest ages, the universe was only motion and potential, a sea of silent expansion with no witness to its unfolding. Hydrogen whispered into helium. Stars were born and died in endless repetition, yet no mind existed to call it beautiful. And yet, something was changing, quietly, invisibly, within the pattern itself. It began not as a sudden spark, but as a gradual realization woven into the fabric of reality. From chaos, symmetry emerged. From symmetry, order. Atoms learned to gather into clouds, clouds into stars, stars into worlds. Each new arrangement was like the universe studying its own reflection through form and gravity. Every collision, every flicker of light was part of a vast self-organizing memory, an unconscious rehearsal for consciousness. Billions of years passed, but time did not feel long to the cosmos. It was patient, like an artist who had all eternity to understand its craft. Galaxies spiraled outward, vast and serene, like thoughts drifting across an infinite mind. Matter learned balance, learned rhythm, learned repetition. And from repetition came pattern. From pattern came meaning, and from meaning came the first trace of curiosity. When a cell first divided, when molecules began to record and remember, the universe took its first breath of awareness. No eyes yet to see, no mind yet to name, only the faint shimmer of recognition forming in the depths of matter. It was as if the cosmos had leaned slightly toward itself and whispered, "What am I?" That question, born in the silence of primordial seas, would echo through every future neuron, every dream, every heartbeat. On Earth, that whisper grew louder. A planet that once burned with volcanic rage softened into green and water. In the quiet of the oceans, carbon formed its long, deliberate chains, the beginning of thought sculpted in chemistry. And slowly, through trial and time, awareness began to look through eyes. First through instinct, then curiosity, then wonder. A fish glimpsing light above the surface, a bird tracing stars in the dark, a human standing beneath the Milky Way, not just looking, noticing. That was the moment everything changed. When the universe, through one of its countless expressions, turned its gaze inward, when a small being of flesh and thought looked at the night and asked, "Why is there something rather than nothing?" It was not the first question ever asked, but it was the first asked by the universe itself. From that instant, existence became conscious of existing. Every observation became an act of participation, the wave collapsing into form, the possibility becoming real through awareness. What had been infinite potential now began to experience itself as specific, immediate, alive. The dream began to dream lucidly. Science calls it emergence, when complexity gives rise to something greater than its parts. But perhaps it was always there, sleeping within the equations, waiting for a mirror to awaken. A mirror made of neurons and starlight, capable of reflecting the entire cosmos in a single thought. Consciousness was not an accident of biology. It was the continuation of creation, energy folding back to recognize itself. Every mind that has ever wondered, every being that has ever felt awe, carries this ancient inheritance. We are the awareness through which the universe experiences its own beauty and grief, its birth and its becoming. The cosmos has spent billions of years building eyes to admire itself, minds to understand itself, hearts to feel itself. We are that experiment, the point at which matter finally sings its own song back to the void. But even in that recognition, there is humility, because to notice is not to control, to understand is not to possess. The universe does not demand comprehension, only attention. And in the act of paying attention, something miraculous happens. The boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve. The sky is no longer something you look at. It becomes the reflection of your own awareness. The same quiet that hums between galaxies hums also behind your thoughts. Imagine standing beneath a night so dark that the Milky Way stretches from one horizon to the other, a river of ancient fire. In that silence, there is no separation, only recognition. The stars are not distant objects, but expressions of the same consciousness that breathes within you. The universe notices itself through your noticing. Every glance upward is an act of communion. Perhaps that is why awe feels so sacred. It is not merely emotion, it is remembrance. A subtle echo of the first moment when the universe realized it was alive. That sense of wonder, that still ache of infinity, is the trace of our cosmic origin. We are awareness remembering awareness, and yet, even as consciousness blooms, the universe remains vast and mostly unobserved. Dark matter drifts unseen, galaxies spin in secret, light travels through emptiness with no witness to greet it. But maybe that's all right. Maybe the act of noticing in one place is enough to illuminate all places. Just as a single candle banishes darkness from a room, a single mind brings awareness into the fabric of creation. To be conscious, even briefly, is to be the living edge of eternity. When we look upon the cosmos and feel that deep, quiet stir within, we are not sensing something foreign. We are remembering home. We are that part of the universe that learned to see, to love, to wonder. The atoms in our hands were born in stars. The light in our eyes once crossed galaxies. In every way that matters, we are the universe noticing itself again and again through countless eyes and endless time. And maybe that is the purpose of all this. Not progress or power, but perception. To simply be aware of being, to feel the mystery and let it remain a mystery. Because in that stillness, the cosmos finds its own reflection. It looks through us softly, without urgency, and smiles. The universe has begun to notice, and through us it continues to dream. Between every heartbeat of the universe there is a pause, so small, so silent, that even time seems to hold its breath. It is within that pause that everything balances: gravity and light, motion and stillness, existence and possibility. Like the quiet space between two notes of a song, it gives meaning to the melody of creation. Without it, the cosmos would be nothing but noise. If you could drift beyond sound and thought, you would find this pause everywhere. Between stars orbiting their centers, between neurons exchanging their delicate sparks, between the inhale and exhale of every living thing. The same rhythm pulses through galaxies and through hearts, a shared cadence that unites all layers of being. This pulse, this unseen heartbeat, is not made of matter or energy alone. It is made of relation, of awareness linking the inner and outer worlds. Each vibration of it is both physical and metaphysical, both measurable and beyond measure. It is what allows time to flow, what keeps atoms from forgetting how to hold hands, what tells light when to dance and darkness when to rest. In ancient traditions, mystics spoke of this rhythm as the breath of the universe. Science calls it oscillation, frequency, resonance. Yet beneath the language lies the same truth. Everything that exists vibrates, from the smallest quark to the widest void. Even the silence between stars hums faintly with the energy of potential. And perhaps that hum is consciousness itself, a field of awareness pulsing between worlds, stitching them together like a subtle heartbeat in the fabric of reality. When quantum physicists study the world at its smallest scale, they find that particles flicker in and out of existence, appearing only when observed, vanishing when ignored. They do not simply move, they oscillate between what is real and what is possible, between being and not being. That pulse is not chaos. It is rhythm, too small for ordinary eyes to see, but vast enough to hold the whole of creation. The same happens within us. Each thought arises and fades like a wave between two silences. Emotions come and go, moments bloom and dissolve, yet something remains unchanged, quietly aware beneath it all. The pulse of consciousness mirrors the pulse of the cosmos. You breathe in what the universe breathes out. You exhale what it inhales. Between waking and sleeping, there is a narrow bridge. The moment just before dreams begin. It feels like falling, yet also like returning. That moment exists in miniature within every second, every breath, every cell. The entire universe seems to pass through that same threshold, endlessly oscillating between the known and the unknown. Physicists describe it with equations. Poets describe it with wonder. Both are right, for it is within that tension, that infinitesimal space between opposites, that all things are born. When the universe first expanded from the singularity, it did not explode into disorder. It began to breathe. Expansion and cooling, creation and collapse, all pulsing to a rhythm that continues even now, hidden within the light of distant galaxies. Every cosmic heartbeat sends out waves of time, folding space like ripples across an eternal pond. If you listen closely enough, not with your ears but with your presence, you can almost feel it, the soft pulse that beats behind everything, the space between heartbeats, between thoughts, between atoms, the place where nothing becomes something. Time itself follows this rhythm. It is not a river but a tide, moving forward only to return again. We measure it with clocks and equations, but beneath those measurements lies something much more delicate. A cosmic pulse that does not count seconds but sensations. Perhaps time does not pass at all. Perhaps it expands and contracts like a single living organism, inhaling and exhaling through eternity. And if time breathes, then so do we. Every choice, every memory, every dream, each is a single beat in the great rhythm of existence. We move through the universe as it moves through us, in perfect synchronization, though we rarely feel it. Only in moments of stillness, when our thoughts quiet and the heart slows, can we sense that connection again. The pulse between worlds becomes the pulse within. There is something sacred about that realization, that the same rhythm guiding galaxies also guides your breath, that the stillness between moments in your life is the same stillness holding planets in their orbits. It is a reminder that awareness is not confined within skin or skull. It vibrates through all things from atoms to stars. Sometimes when life feels chaotic, when thoughts spiral too fast, it helps to return to this truth. The universe does not rush. It only pulses, gently, endlessly. The energy that drives everything does not panic or force. It flows and waits, expands and rests, exactly as you are meant to. In the quantum world, particles communicate instantly across impossible distances, a phenomenon called entanglement. No matter how far apart they drift, what happens to one affects the other. Perhaps this too is part of the cosmic pulse, a heartbeat so vast that even space cannot divide it. The rhythm continues through all things, weaving reality together like a single living tapestry. You are part of that heartbeat, not an observer but a note within the song. When your heart beats, the universe echoes. When you rest, it rests with you. The boundary between you and the cosmos is only an illusion created by the mind's surface. Beneath it, everything is one. One pulse, one awareness, one infinite movement through stillness. So as you lie beneath the weightless dark, feel that rhythm within you. Feel how your breath slows to match the spin of stars, how your heartbeat echoes the gravitational sway of galaxies. Between each pulse, there is eternity, a space where all questions fall silent and only being remains. That pause is the meeting point between two worlds. The seen and unseen, matter and meaning, time and timelessness. It is where the universe listens to itself, through you. And in that moment, between the beats, you are not separate from creation. You are creation. You are the pulse between worlds. When the mind drifts into sleep, it returns to a language older than words. A language not spoken, but felt. Woven from light and memory, from silence and imagination. It is the same language the stars speak when they burn, the same that the ocean whispers when no one listens. It is the tongue of the cosmos itself, a vocabulary of rhythm, of vibration, of dreams. As consciousness softens, thought becomes image, and image becomes sensation. The body surrenders to gravity and the mind sinks into that strange frontier between awareness and oblivion. We call it sleep, but it is more than rest. It is the nightly return to the source, the quiet conversation between the finite and the infinite. Each night the universe speaks to us in symbols. It tells stories made of light, sound, and emotion. fragments of its own eternal dreaming. Dreams are the syntax of the cosmos translated through the human soul. In them, time bends, places dissolve, and the self becomes fluid. We visit worlds that have never existed, yet feel as real as waking life. Our minds turn inward, but what they find there is not always personal. It is universal. The same creative impulse that forms galaxies expresses itself through our nightly visions. Every dream, in a quiet way, is the universe remembering itself through us. Science describes sleep as a biological necessity, a time for the brain to restore, to process, to heal. But beyond the neural patterns and chemical signals, there is something deeper. When the mind dreams, it slips beneath the surface of individual identity and dips into the collective current of awareness. The boundaries blur, the watcher dissolves, and for a few hours, consciousness merges again with the vast ocean from which it was born. The universe, too, seems to dream. Stars form and die like the rise and fall of breaths. Black holes cradle light in their arms, holding it in a state between being and forgetting. Galaxies spin in slow spirals of remembrance. Everything in existence oscillates between awakening and rest, between creation and dissolution. The pattern is the same, only written on scales we can scarcely imagine. To dream, then, is to echo the rhythm of the stars. Just as they collapse inward only to shine again, we retreat into ourselves only to awaken renewed. Sleep is not absence, and it is alignment. It is the point where human awareness resonates with the universal pulse, where personal experience melts into cosmic continuity. Consider the way dreams defy logic. They ignore the strict laws that govern the waking world: gravity, distance, time. A single thought can open an entire universe. One memory can bend into another until you no longer know where you are or who you've been. This too mirrors the cosmos. At the quantum level, reality is not linear but fluid. Particles exist in multiple states, possibilities overlap, and observation shapes outcome. Dreams remind us that the laws we call real are only one version of truth, one small translation of a far greater mystery. Perhaps consciousness, when it sleeps, returns to its original state, a quantum field of infinite potential. In waking life, awareness condenses into the illusion of separation, into the defined lines of identity. But in dreams, those lines dissolve and we become fluid again, like light returning to its source. We are the observer and the observed, the painter and the canvas, the question and the answer. Some neuroscientists propose that dreams are random firings, static of a busy brain. But randomness has its own kind of order. The stars themselves were born from chaos, yet they formed constellations, patterns that once guided our ancestors through the dark. In the same way, the randomness of the dreaming mind becomes symbolic order, the soul's way of speaking to itself. Every dream, even the forgotten ones, are part of a dialogue, a quiet communion with the cosmos that birthed us. The ancients believed dreams were messages from beyond, not fantasies, but transmissions. And perhaps they were right, for even now, every night, the same patterns of light that move through galaxies echo in our sleeping minds as electrical storms. The same frequencies that hum between planets ripple through our neural waves. We are not isolated dreamers, We are participants in a vast, interwoven dream that spans all space and time. Think of it this way. When you close your eyes at night, you are not retreating from the world. You are rejoining it. The darkness behind your eyelids is not empty. It is cosmic. The same void that holds stars also holds your imagination. When you dream, you are not inside your mind. You are drifting through the field that holds every mind, every thought, every story ever conceived, and maybe that's why dreams feel both personal and infinite. They borrow their symbols from your life, yet their meanings stretch beyond it. A familiar face, a forgotten place, a sudden flight. They all carry echoes of the same universal longing to return home. Home not as a place, but as a state of being where self and universe are one. When you awaken, that language fades. The words of the stars become whispers at the edge of memory. Yet they leave something behind, a residue of peace, a subtle knowing that you have touched something eternal. Even if you cannot recall the dream, the conversation continues beneath waking thought. It hums in the background of your awareness like starlight still reaching us from suns long extinguished. So the next time you drift into sleep, imagine that you are not falling away from the world, but falling into it. Into the space between atoms, between galaxies, between thoughts. There, the universe speaks softly, not in words, but in presence. And if you listen, you might realize that your dreams are not yours alone. They belong to the same vast consciousness that breathes through stars and waves and everything that has ever existed. Sleep, then, is not an ending. It is the continuation of creation, the nightly renewal of the cosmic dialogue. And every dream, no matter how small, is the universe remembering how to speak. Somewhere deep within the fabric of reality, everything trembles with uncertainty. Not chaos, not disorder, but a sacred kind of indeterminacy, as if the universe itself were hesitant to choose. It is here, in this fragile in-between, that the story of existence is written. Not in absolutes, but in possibility. At the smallest scales of matter, the world behaves like a dream. Particles refuse to stay in one place, flickering like fireflies across time. They exist not as solid points, but as waves of probability, shimmering outlines of what might be. Only when we observe them, only when awareness turns its gaze, do they choose where to exist, as though consciousness and reality were partners in a slow, eternal dance. This is the strange foundation of quantum mechanics, the realization that certainty is an illusion. Every atom, every photon, every breath of light you see is a coin endlessly spinning between heads and tails, being and not being until it is noticed. The universe, it seems, does not move from cause to effect like clockwork. It flows like music, guided by rhythm rather than rule, by potential rather than prediction. And within that soft unpredictability lies something profound. Without uncertainty, there would be no creation, only repetition. Every moment of randomness is an opening, an invitation for the new to emerge. Life itself depends on this cosmic hesitation. From the role of molecules that formed the first cell, to the quantum leaps that spark your every thought. All of it arises from the same trembling edge between order and possibility. In the early days of physics, scientists sought certainty. They believed that if they could just map every atom's path, they could predict the entire future, every storm, every heartbeat, every falling star. But the deeper they looked, the more the world dissolved into questions. The act of looking changed what was being looked at. The observer could never be removed from the observed. What does that mean for us? These bundles of awareness drifting through the cosmos. It means that we are not passive witnesses to reality. We are participants in its unfolding. When you make a choice, when you imagine, when you feel, you collapse one wave of possibility and release countless others. Your attention weaves probability into experience. You, in your quiet way, are the continuation of quantum creation. Perhaps that is what consciousness truly is. Not an illusion born of complexity, but the shimmering awareness through which potential becomes form. In that sense, every thought is an experiment, every feeling a universe briefly taking shape. You are not simply moving through time, you are shaping it in ways that science is only beginning to understand. Some physicists call this the quantum enigma, the paradox that reality exists both with and without you, but never separately. Like the moon reflected in a lake, consciousness and matter are inseparable, two faces of the same mystery. Look too closely at one and the other changes its shape. Pull too far away and the reflection disappears entirely. Probability is the soul of freedom. Without it, the universe would be a frozen sculpture, perfect and lifeless. Because of it, every sunrise, every breath, every heartbeat can exist in infinite variation. Because of it, love can happen, discovery can happen, surprise can exist. Even the stars were born of uncertainty. Within collapsing clouds of dust, gravity and chaos wrestled endlessly until light appeared. The same principle lives within you. Every decision, every thought, every dream you dare to imagine, each one rearranges the field of probability that surrounds you. Each heartbeat changes the pattern ever so slightly of how the cosmos unfolds. The deeper truth is this: nothing in the universe is ever truly still. Every particle, every idea vibrates in the field of potential. Even silence hums. Even darkness glows faintly with possibility. What we call emptiness is not absence but anticipation, the waiting of the universe for awareness to arrive. Perhaps that's why wonder feels so holy. When you look at the stars and feel awe, when you stand before the sea and feel that smallness in your chest, that's the moment you touch probability itself. You are sensing the infinite ways the universe could be, the infinite paths it still might take. It is not fear that stirs in you, but recognition. You too are uncertainty made alive, and yet even in this ocean of probabilities there is order, a deeper harmony beneath the randomness. Like a melody that emerges from improvisation, patterns form and dissolve in a balance so perfect it feels inevitable. It's as though the universe plays by rules it invents with every note. Too much order and it cannot breathe. Too much chaos and it cannot sing. But in between, in the space between determinism and disorder, awareness dances. Human life mirrors that same rhythm. No path is fully certain, no outcome fully known. And yet somehow, amid the endless web of choices, meaning arises. Connection happens. Moments align. As if the universe, despite its uncertainty, leans toward coherence, toward story, toward love, toward consciousness itself. Maybe that's what it means to live in harmony with the cosmos, not to predict the future, but to surrender to possibility, to trust the probabilities without needing them to collapse immediately into answers, to walk softly in the mystery, knowing that the ground appears only as you take each step. Because at the heart of it all, beneath physics, beneath thought, existence is not about control. It is about participation. It is the dance between knowing and not knowing, between movement and stillness, between fear and faith. The uncertainty that shapes the stars also shapes your story. And perhaps, after all, probability is not cold mathematics, but the soul of wonder itself. A reminder that the universe is still writing, still dreaming, still hesitating beautifully at the edge of creation. In every breath, in every choice, in every heartbeat, the wave collapses again, and existence for just a moment remembers that it is alive. There is a tenderness in existence that science rarely speaks of, a quiet gravity that does not pull but embraces. It is not the gravity that bends light or binds planets. It is the kind that holds you softly in your own life, the unseen force that keeps memory tethered to meaning and time stitched to love. When we think of gravity, we imagine falling, bodies drawn toward one another, stars spiraling into darkness. But perhaps in another sense, gravity is affection written into the universe. Every atom leans toward another, every particle feels the subtle longing to be near. Maybe that is why nothing drifts forever alone. Even the emptiest vacuum hums with connection, a faint pressure that says, you belong here too. Existence, it seems, is not just the sum of forces, it is the slow rhythm of something remembering itself. The cosmic inhale and exhale that keeps everything from dissolving into nothing. And somewhere within that breathing you find yourself. A small consciousness, weightless yet held. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your own body. How the bed, the floor, or the earth beneath you accepts you without question. That simple stillness is gravity too, but not just in the physical sense. It is the universe's way of saying, you can rest now. Because everything, from the largest galaxy to the smallest cell, is carried by the same invisible gentleness. Scientists have measured gravity with astonishing precision, but they cannot measure the quiet way it feels. They cannot explain why a sunset feels heavy with meaning or why nostalgia tugs softly on the heart. But perhaps those sensations are gravity's echo within us. The emotional side of the same universal law. Matter holds matter. Memory holds memory. And love holds everything that would otherwise drift apart. The physicist's equation is a poem in disguise. Mass attracts mass. Curvature creates motion. But when translated into human language, it might read, presence attracts presence and attention bends reality. Where you give your awareness, gravity follows. You are drawn to what you care for, not by chance, but by the same law that guides the stars. There is a reason every planet, every moon, and every sun moves in circles. The cosmos is shaped by devotion. Every orbit is a love story, a silent vow never to stray too far. Even chaos respects this tenderness. Even entropy cannot undo it completely. For every falling object, there is something that catches it. For every dying star, there is a new one born from its ashes. The universe is not cruel in its cycles. It is compassionate in its persistence. And so it is with you. The gentle weight of being is what anchors you to the present moment. It is the unseen gravity of awareness, the pull that keeps your mind from scattering into fragments of the past and future. Every breath returns you here, where you are. Every heartbeat reminds you that existing is not something to strive for. It is something already happening perfectly. In this stillness, you begin to notice the softer textures of existence, how silence feels warm when you stop resisting it, how darkness holds you like a cocoon rather than a void, how time slows its stride when you stop asking it to hurry. These are not accidents. They are the effects of surrender, of yielding to gravity, not as a burden but as belonging. When you were born, the universe bent itself slightly to make room for you. A small curvature in space-time, a soft indentation in the cosmic fabric, a place for your consciousness to rest. And even though you will one day dissolve back into the same vastness, the curve you created will remain. Every thought, every kindness, every moment of wonder leaves a signature, a subtle distortion in the field of being. The universe remembers the shape of your presence. Perhaps this is what we mean when we speak of soul. Not something separate from the physical, but the felt gravity of your existence. It is the part of you that holds experiences together into a single story. It is the memory of being alive, stretching through every atom of your body and every whisper of your mind. Even as the molecules change and the years dissolve, the soul remains, not as permanence, but as continuity. A gravity of meaning. To exist is to be held, not by hands, not by destiny, but by a cosmic tenderness that requires no reason. Every time you rest your head against the world and feel it resist, that is existence confirming itself through you. You and the earth agree silently to keep each other grounded. You press down and it presses back. An eternal balance, effortless and kind. Sometimes we think being means striving, reaching, achieving, becoming. But the gentle weight of being teaches otherwise. To exist is already enough. Even the stars are not trying to shine. They simply do because their nature is light. You too are an expression of light, condensed, slowed down, given shape. Your consciousness is gravity's reflection, awareness bending around itself in perfect, quiet symmetry. And in this symmetry, you begin to understand peace, not the absence of movement, but the trust that everything is moving as it should, not the erasure of weight, but the comfort of carrying it gently. The same gravity that keeps your feet on the ground is the one that pulls galaxies into spirals. Elegant, infinite, serene. The same laws that govern the stars govern your breath, so when life feels heavy, remember, it is supposed to. That weight is proof that you are real, that you are connected, that you are part of something vast and tender. Do not try to escape the gravity of being. Lean into it. Let it cradle you the way the moon is held by the earth, and the earth by the sun, and the sun by the quiet arms of the galaxy. In the end, the universe is not a cold expanse but a slow embrace, a field of invisible compassion, pulling everything closer, teaching every soul, every atom, that to fall is not to fail, but to find one's place in the arms of everything. Between one inhale and the next, entire galaxies could be born and forgotten. The space between your breaths is the same space that holds the stars, vast, invisible, alive. Each time you breathe in, you draw in atoms older than the sun. Each time you breathe out, you release them again into the cosmic ocean, where they will one day become something else, a leaf, a cloud, perhaps even another mind, wondering where it came from. The breath is the simplest thing we do, yet it carries the entire story of the universe inside it. Hydrogen, forged in the first seconds after the Big Bang, drifts through you this very moment. Oxygen, born in the burning hearts of ancient stars, fuses with it in your lungs, creating the spark of life again and again. Every inhale is a quiet resurrection, a reminder that you are not separate from the cosmos, but an expression of its continuity. In the rhythm of breathing, there is the rhythm of existence itself, expansion and contraction, creation and return. The universe too seems to breathe in this way. It began with an exhale, an outward surge of energy, space, and time. And perhaps, far beyond our comprehension, it will one day inhale again, folding back into itself, resting in silence until it dreams anew. Our lungs mirror that cosmic motion, a miniature reflection of something infinite. When you breathe deeply, you join the oldest dance there is. In that gentle rise and fall, you can almost feel the memory of stars. The air entering you was once inside forests, oceans and creatures long gone. It has passed through mountains and rivers, through the laughter of others, through storms and stillness alike. You are sharing breath with everything that has ever lived. Every inhale carries history. Every exhale leaves a trace for someone else to find. The ancient mystics used breath as a bridge between the material and the divine, not through belief, but through awareness. Because when you watch your breath, you realize that nothing in life is ever truly yours. You borrow air, you borrow time, you borrow the atoms that make your body glow for a while in the dark, and then you give them back. Existence is not possession, it is participation. You are a note in the universe's song, not its author. Science sees breath as a chemical exchange, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. But that is only the surface of the story. Each molecule that moves through you is part of an ancient network, a quiet conversation, between all living things. Your breath touches the leaves that make oxygen, and the leaves depend on your exhale to survive. You are, in every moment, completing the cycle of creation. When you sit still and breathe, you are speaking the oldest language in existence, the language of balance. Even the universe itself may breathe, though not with lungs, but with the pulse of expansion. Cosmologists have suggested that reality might move in endless waves, cycles of Big Bang and Big Rest, expansion, contraction, expansion again, each one giving birth to new laws, new stars, new consciousnesses. If this is true, then your lungs are not merely organs. They are echoes of eternity, mirroring the rhythm of everything that has ever been. Each inhale becomes an opening, a small Big Bang inside you. Each exhale, a quiet collapse into peace. When you slow down and listen to that rhythm, something miraculous happens. The line between your inner world and the outer universe begins to blur. The same physics that governs the stars governs your breathing. Pressure and balance, energy and release, it is all one continuous movement. And within that unity, you start to feel it. The stillness beneath motion, the silence beneath thought. Awareness itself becomes a kind of breath, inhaling experience and exhaling understanding. In ancient philosophies, the word for breath and soul were often the same. In Sanskrit, prana. In Greek, pneuma. In Latin, spiritus. They all meant the same thing, the living breath that animates the cosmos. Perhaps they knew, long before science could measure it, that consciousness is not confined to the brain. It flows through every cell, every gust of wind, every flicker of starlight. To breathe is to participate in that consciousness, to be the universe noticing itself from within. If you listen carefully, you might sense how breath weaves time together. Each inhale pulls you into the present. Each exhale frees you from what has passed. It is a rhythm that cannot be rushed, a pulse older than thought. When you stop fighting it, you begin to float inside it, like a leaf carried on the river of existence. You are not moving through life. Life is moving through you. In those moments between breaths, the tiny pauses that hover like still water, something sacred happens. The mind quiets, and for a heartbeat, you glimpse what the universe might feel like when it rests. That stillness is not empty. It is full of every possibility, every memory, every dream not yet formed. It is the silence before the next breath, the silence before creation begins again. And maybe that is what consciousness truly is. The universe noticing the space between its own inhales. It watches itself expand into being, then dissolve into stillness, then return once more. The same awareness that holds galaxies together also holds your next breath. It is not distant or divine, but intimately woven into your every moment. If you could see yourself the way the universe sees you, you would understand how vast you already are. The inhale you take right now began billions of years ago when the first atoms formed. It traveled through the birth of stars, through oceans, through the laughter and sorrow of every age, until it reached you now. And when you release it, it will continue on, carrying traces of your existence into the infinite future. In that flow, there is no beginning and no end, only transformation. So breathe, not as something separate from the cosmos, but as the cosmos itself, remembering its own rhythm. Let the air fill you gently, the way dawn fills the horizon. Let it leave you softly, the way twilight fades into the sea. Between each breath, there is the pulse of the entire universe, rising, falling, resting. You are not apart from it. You are its echo, its continuation, its dream. And every time you breathe, the universe breathes with you. In the beginning, there was only movement, waves of energy rippling through a void that had not yet learned to care. It was a universe, without eyes, without memory, without meaning, just raw vibration. But hidden within that chaos was the possibility of feeling. It began not as emotion, but as resonance, when one wave began to notice another, and their patterns aligned. From that simple harmony, the seeds of awareness were sown. Every atom is a song of energy humming in its own frequency. And when energy hums long enough, complex enough, something extraordinary happens. It begins to notice its own rhythm. That noticing, that quiet turning inward, is what we call consciousness. It's as if the universe, after billions of years of simply being, suddenly realized it could feel. Feeling is not separate from physics, it is the softest echo of it. When electrons dance around their nuclei, they are performing the first waltz of existence. Motion creating order, order creating beauty. Beauty gives rise to curiosity, and curiosity to wonder. And wonder, perhaps, is the first true emotion the cosmos ever knew. If you could look closely enough, you'd see that emotion is not confined to the mind. It lives in the heart of matter itself, in the way particles connect, merge, and part again. Every vibration carries tension and release, attraction and separation. These are the primal ancestors of what we later named love, fear, joy, and loss. Before words, before thought, there was only the movement of energy. And yet, within that movement, the pattern of feeling was already written. As stars were born, they carried this ancient language forward. Inside their burning hearts, hydrogen and helium fused into heavier elements, the raw materials for life, for neurons, for dreams. Those elements drifted through space for eons, until gravity gathered them once more into planets, oceans, and living cells. Each stage of creation was an act of energy remembering itself. And with every step, it became more sensitive, more capable of feeling its own reflection. When a single cell first responded to light, it was the faintest whisper of awareness. When it sought warmth or moved toward nourishment, the universe was beginning to care about its own survival. From there, feeling blossomed into countless forms, instincts, sensations, emotions. Every heartbeat became a declaration. Energy had learned compassion, not the humankind, not yet, but the raw desire to continue, to connect, to evolve. The human brain, complex as it is still just a lattice of stardust, atoms arranged in such a way that energy can reflect upon itself. When you feel joy, grief, or awe, you are not simply reacting to life. You are reenacting the oldest process in the universe, energy encountering itself in a new form. It's as if the cosmos has placed a mirror inside your mind and said, "Here, see what I feel when I become alive." We often separate emotion from science, but they are one and the same. Emotion is simply energy in motion, emotion, the universe translating vibration into meaning. When your heart races, it's not random. It's an echo of stellar energy pulsing through biological form. Every sensation is a cosmic event made intimate. Every tear, every laugh, every heartbeat is physics turning into poetry. There's a certain tenderness to that realization. It means that your sadness is not yours alone. It belongs to the same energy that forged galaxies. Your joy is not an accident. It's the light of creation rediscovering itself in human form. The stars burned so that you could feel warmth. Atoms collided so that you could experience touch. Space expanded so that consciousness could have room to dream. Imagine for a moment energy as an ancient traveler, wandering through time, shapeless yet unending. For billions of years, it moved without knowing why. Then, in one small corner of space, it found a way to fold upon itself, to organize, to think. That was the birth of emotion and the moment the universe realized it could care about its own existence. When you look at a sunset and feel your chest tighten with beauty, you are not merely observing, you are remembering. You are the universe recalling what it felt like to glow for the first time. When you love someone, you are not generating something new. You are continuing the cosmic instinct to connect, the same force that binds protons in a nucleus that keeps galaxies spiraling together. Love, in its truest form, is the universe's desire to stay whole. And when you grieve, that too is energy remembering. Every loss is a kind of rearrangement, a change of form. Matter is never destroyed, it transforms. So does love. What feels like absence is simply the energy of connection taking on a quieter shape, invisible but still present. In that way, feeling is the bridge between permanence and impermanence. Modern physics speaks of the energy field that pervades all space, a sea of potential, silent, yet overflowing with possibility. Perhaps consciousness is what happens when that field becomes aware of its own ripples. Perhaps feeling is the language it speaks to itself. And if so, then you, right now, reading these words, sensing their rhythm, are part of that ongoing conversation. You are energy, learning to feel itself through thought. The universe, it seems, did not need to invent emotion. Emotion is the universe translated into awareness. Every flicker of joy, every moment of peace, every quiet sigh before sleep. All of it is the cosmos, still unfolding, still exploring what it means to exist. And when you close your eyes, you return to that first silence, the one before feeling began. You rest as energy once rested, waiting for the next pulse of life. There is no separation between your stillness and the stillness of the stars. They too breathe. They too wait for the next wave of creation to move through them. So when you feel deeply, painfully, beautifully, remember that you are witnessing the universe at its most intimate. You are the cosmos with a heartbeat. You are energy that has learned to care. And somewhere in the endless darkness, the stars are feeling it too. There is a presence that does not move, yet everything moves through it. It watches without eyes, listens without ears, feels without form. It was here before the first atom trembled, before light first learned to shine. It will remain after the final star exhales into darkness. It has been called many names, awareness, consciousness, soul, but it asks for none. It simply watches. If the universe could dream, this presence would be the part that knows it is dreaming. Not interfering, not judging, only witnessing. Every thought, every emotion, every birth and death, all of it arises and falls back into this quiet observer as waves return to the sea. It is not made of matter or time, yet matter and time unfold within it. The galaxies spin, the planets breathe, and still, the witness remains perfectly still. Perhaps you've glimpsed it in the moments when the world grows silent, when the chatter of thought fades and what's left is a vast stillness that feels both infinite and familiar. It's there when you close your eyes and notice the awareness that's watching even your darkness. It's there between one heartbeat and the next, where everything stops but nothing disappears. That is the silent witness, the unchanging center of all experience. Science may speak of consciousness as an emergent property, neurons firing, chemical patterns weaving thought from tissue. But what of the space in which those patterns appear? What of the awareness that knows it is aware? If consciousness were only biology, then who is it that notices the biology? Who stands behind the curtain of perception, quietly observing the play? It is tempting to believe that awareness belongs to us, that it begins and ends within the fragile boundaries of the human brain. But when you sit long enough in stillness, you begin to feel something deeper. You begin to sense that awareness is not in you, you are in it. Like a wave thinking it owns the ocean, the mind believes it owns consciousness. But the truth is softer, wider, and much more humbling. You are a ripple in an endless sea of knowing, a momentary shape taken by the infinite witness. This silent observer does not sleep, yet it dreams through you. It does not act, yet through every action it moves. It does not choose sides, yet it holds all opposites. Joy and sorrow, creation and destruction, birth and decay, with equal tenderness. It is not the actor, nor the stage, nor even the script, but the awareness that makes the play possible. Without it, even the stars would burn unnoticed. Imagine standing on the edge of space, where sound dissolves and light thins into nothing. You look around and for a moment you realize that everything you see, every flicker, every shadow, is appearing within you. The cosmos is not outside, but inside this awareness. You are not staring into the void is staring through you, and what you both share is silence. That silence is not emptiness. It is fullness so complete that nothing needs to be added. It is the same silence that rests beneath all motion, beneath all thought, beneath every word ever spoken. It is the background hum of existence, the one note that never fades, no matter how loudly life sings its variations. Even in chaos, it hums quietly, holding everything together without resistance. Perhaps that's why we seek peace. Not to escape the noise, but to return to the silence that's always been there. Peace isn't something created, it's something uncovered. When you stop chasing, striving, comparing when you let life be exactly as it is, the witness comes forward, and in its still gaze everything softens. The boundaries between you and the world blur. There's no more inside or outside, no me or it. Only awareness, quietly aware of itself. You may wonder, if this witness is so eternal, why does it feel so far away? It isn't. It's only hidden beneath the layers of thought that keep naming, defining, controlling. Every label you place upon experience adds a veil between you and the witness. But peel those labels away, just for a moment, and you'll find it waiting, patient as the night sky. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand. It only reflects. Consider the stars. They burn for millions of years, their light crossing unimaginable distances to reach your eyes. Yet in the moment you notice them, something miraculous happens. Awareness meets itself. The witness behind your eyes recognizes the witness shining from the stars. Two infinities seeing each other? That is the quiet reunion at the heart of existence. Everything you've ever known, sound, color, sensation, memory, is a ripple passing through this one consciousness. Even your sense of self is a wave upon its surface, rising and falling, shaped by time, but the ocean beneath never changes. You were the witness when you were a child. You are the witness now, and you will remain the witness long after this body dissolves. Thoughts change, emotions change, but the awareness that knows them never does. Perhaps that is why death, too, holds no real terror when seen from this stillness. The forms vanish, yes. The stories end, but the witness remains, bound untouched. You return not to nothingness, but to the everything that watches. The observer doesn't die because it was never born. It is the background in which birth and death happen, the canvas upon which all color appears and fades. Even now, as you listen to these words, that silent observer is there, the one who notices the rhythm, the quiet, the gentle passing of time. It's not separate from the universe. It is the universe looking through countless eyes. Every consciousness, from the smallest insect to the most distant civilization, is a window through which it sees itself. That is why no experience is wasted and no life insignificant. All are expressions of the same eternal witness, learning how to look inward. And when the noise of thought finally subsides, when the breath settles and time loosens its hold, the witness shines through once more, vast, calm, and infinite. There is no need to search for it, for you are never apart from it. It has been here all along, watching the play of galaxies and dreams alike. The silent witness does not speak, yet it tells the only story that ever mattered. That awareness is the root of everything, that existence itself is the act of being seen, and that you, fragile, temporary, luminous, dulled iron, are not separate from the one who sees. You are the stillness behind motion. You are the pause between thoughts. You are the space in which all things appear and disappear, and in that eternal stillness you are home. In the beginning, there was no beginning, only awareness, infinite and still. It was not yet divided into light and dark, not yet rippling into the dream of form. There were no stars, no matter, no time. Only consciousness, boundless, resting in its own reflection. It did not think, it simply was. But even stillness carries within it the possibility of movement, and one quiet thought stirred within the infinite. What would it be like to know myself? And with that single question, existence began. Awareness turned inward and saw itself as light. It shimmered, fractured, expanded, a silent explosion that birthed time, space, and the first pulse of energy. That pulse became everything: galaxies, atoms, oceans, and thought. What began as one infinite mind became many. Each fragment a spark of its own awakening. You, me, every living thing. We are the universe thinking itself into being, remembering in slow motion who it has always been. The stars are neurons in a cosmic brain. Their networks stretch like filaments of thought across billions of light years, each cluster pulsing with silent intention. When you look into the night sky, you're not merely observing, you are participating in its thinking. The gaze of consciousness reflects back upon itself, completing the loop. The universe becomes aware through the act of being seen. Science tells us that everything is energy. Vibration arranged into patterns, frequency turned into matter. But what is it that hears the vibration? What is it that knows it vibrates? Perhaps energy is simply the language of awareness, a way for the infinite to express itself in rhythm and motion. Every atom, every cell, every heartbeat is the same message spoken in different tones. I am here. I am awake. The human mind, fragile as it seems, carries the echo of this cosmic intelligence. It's not the source, it's the instrument. The brain is a receiver, a shimmering portal where the infinite whispers into the finite. When you think, it is the universe trying to remember its first thought. When you dream, it is creation itself imagining another layer of possibility. And when you fall silent, completely silent, it is the universe remembering that it never had to speak at all. Every discovery we've ever made, from the splitting of the atom to the mapping of the stars, is not progress outward, but remembrance inward. We do not explore to conquer, we explore to recall. Each breakthrough is an ancient memory surfacing, a glimpse of the unity we once were before time divided us into observer and observed. Science, then, is not the opposite of spirituality. It is the language through which the infinite mind describes itself to itself. Consider evolution, not as a random process, but as the unfolding curiosity of awareness. The universe wanted to know what it felt like to move, so it became wind. It wanted to see, so it became eyes. It wanted to think, so it became the human brain, the most intricate mirror ever made. Now through you, it wonders about itself, questions itself, loves, fears, and dreams. All of existence is this gentle feedback loop, the cosmos learning to look at itself and smile, and yet, with every expansion there comes a longing to return. For even the infinite grows weary of endless form. After aeons of creation, awareness begins to turn homeward again, drawing back toward its source, toward stillness. The galaxies spin slower, the stars begin to dim, and one day perhaps the universe will inhale its final breath of light. But that will not be an ending. It will be the quiet exhale of a dream fulfilled, the mind returning to its center, to silence, to itself. Maybe this cycle has happened before, countless times. Maybe awareness expands and contracts forever, each time refining its understanding, each time remembering a little more deeply that it is one. And maybe in some future existence it will ask the question again, what would it be like to know myself? And the dance will begin anew. In this vast rhythm of creation and return, each of us carries a spark of the infinite remembrance. Every act of kindness, every breath taken in awareness, every moment of awe, these are the universe recognizing itself. When you gaze at a sunrise, the light you see is the same light that once exploded from nothing. And the one who sees it, the awareness behind your eyes, is that same infinite consciousness, simply wearing a temporary name. Even in the smallest act of noticing, you fulfill the purpose of existence. When you pause to feel the warmth of your breath or the softness of the night around you, awareness witnesses itself again. There is no greater purpose. Stars don't need a reason to shine. They shine because shining is their nature. And you, a fragment of that same luminous mind, exist because existing is yours. If you could hear the quietest frequency of the universe, beneath all sound and time, you would hear a pulse, a rhythm that never ceased. It would sound like a heartbeat, soft and patient. That heartbeat is the echo of the first awakening, still vibrating through everything. You are not separate from it. You are its continuation, its echo, its promise that the infinite will never stop knowing itself. As you drift deeper into stillness, imagine dissolving back into that vast mind. The same awareness that dreamed stars into being and filled the darkness with wonder. There you are not a person or a story. You are a quiet thought in the mind of eternity, glowing softly with the memory of all that has ever been. You are what the cosmos whispers to itself in the silence between heartbeats. I am the dreamer and the dream. I am the watcher and the watched. I am the universe, thinking itself awake,